Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Reverend Kelvin Sauls of Holman United Methodist Church of Los Angeles, who will lead us in a blessing for tonight's celebration.
Good evening, everybody. As we take our seats and settle down and ready ourselves for this auspicious occasion and this celebration, we are certainly filled with gratitude for the Community Coalition, but also for those that we will be honoring tonight. And it is indeed a joy for us to be here. Let us now pause for a moment as we bless this occasion and lift up this time in celebration to God and to all who are present here. Let us pause for a moment of invocation. Oh God, we give you thanks for this opportunity to be in this place at this time. We give you thanks for the Community Coalition and their ongoing commitment to facilitate social justice for all, not just in moments, but to be an integral part of the social justice movement that we so desperately need at this time. We thank you for their commitment to racial and economic equality for everyone. And so we thank you for all the work that they've done, because we know it's not just about programs, but it is about persons. It is about human beings. And so our time here tonight is to stand with them as we celebrate the humanity of all and as we seek to restore the dignity of all. Through Reverend James Lawson, you remind us of the importance of connecting the pulpit and the pew with the pavement so that the good news can go forth to everyone beyond the church walls. Through Metta World Peace, you remind us that it's not just enough to entertain on the basketball court, but to connect the basketball court with the community in meaningful ways as we are challenged with mental illness and all other challenges. And so it is a joy for us to come together in celebration, a joy for us to come and stand together as we continue the fight to protect the right to health care, as we continue to fight the prison pipeline and mass incarceration, as we continue to stand for just immigration reform, and as we seek to establish a more beloved community. May our celebration tonight contribute to the common good of everyone as we seek to become not just a more perfect union on this side, but also a more perfect union throughout the world. Bless us now and keep us as we enjoy the food and as we enjoy one another's fellowship. May your glory go forth through each one of us as your creations as we celebrate one another's dignity. We lift up this prayer with so much thanksgiving in the name of Almighty God. Amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, we now present the Master and Mistress of Ceremonies for tonight, KABC Channel 7, co-anchors Marc Brown and Michelle Tuzee.
Yeah, we have a band. This is awesome. Doesn't Michelle look great?
Oh.
I never get to say that on TV. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Community Coalition's 2013 Annual People Power Progress Awards. And before we begin, let's show our appreciation one more time for the Reverend Kelvin Sauls and the 29 Live Band from A Place Called Home. Michelle and I are honored to be here again, as we are every year, with the annual Progress Awards. It's a celebration of the change and the progress we make toward creating a more just world and of the inspiring individuals who help lead us in that direction.
And I think Marc looks great tonight, don't you? Let's hear it for Marc. All right, well, we are here to support an amazing organization, Community Coalition, who we often see at the forefront of pushing for change in our city. Community Coalition believes in the power of extraordinary people to create extraordinary change, especially when they act together. And that is why for the past 23 years, Community Coalition has been bringing together everyday people passionate about changing their community for the better to combat addiction, crime, and violence. They have empowered thousands of people in the community to improve health, education, and public safety in South Los Angeles. And tonight, you will hear some amazing stories of people who have been impacted by Community Coalition and have been a part of creating change in their community.
One of the things that makes it such a pleasure for me to be here is to look out at this audience and to see the great diversity of the people here. Of every color and every creed and every walk of life in Los Angeles. Everyone is represented here. People from different industries, people from business, the labor community, elected officials, everybody looking in one direction. It's part of the reason why Community Coalition has so many fans and so many supporters. So we thank you all again for being here tonight and for your generous support of the Community Coalition.
I hope that you've all had a chance to check out the silent auction. It's nice that it's all in the same room this year. If you haven't had a chance to check it out, it's just in the back right here. And we have some amazing packages tonight. There are some great items, exciting getaway packages to Brazil, Paris, and Maui and other exotic locations. Lunch with one of tonight's honorees and living legend, Reverend Lawson and Congresswoman Karen Bass. Lakers and other sports memorabilia. We have tons of free passes to family fun entertainment spots, gift certificates to some of LA's best restaurants, and you can shop for some of these great items while donating, of course, to an amazing organization, Community Coalition. You can take part in the silent auction all the way up until 8:45 tonight. That's when the silent auction will close. And we're doing a new thing this year. The silent auction has gone electronic. So you don't even have to go back there. You can actually shop tonight from your chair. All you have to do to register is find one of the volunteers. They're wearing red shirts, and they will help you get started. So you can do this all on your smartphone. You don't have to get out of your chair. And of course, all the money goes to Community Coalition.
Can you hear me okay? Okay. Tonight, you're going to be hearing a lot about the work of Community Coalition. We also want to hear from you tonight. We want you to tweet about the dinner, about the honorees, the speakers, the MCs, and the great work of Community Coalition, of course, in 140 characters or less. Share your thoughts and your pictures at #CocoGala, CocoGala. To stay connected throughout the year, don't forget to sign up for their email list via their website, www.cocosouthla.org, and feel free to follow them on Twitter and Facebook.
And you can follow Marc at ABC7 Marc.
Right.
And ABC7 Michelle.
Right.
All right. Now to get to our first award presentation. But before we begin, I would like to take a minute to share some background on the People Progress Awards. The awards presented tonight are named for 4 unsung heroes who dedicated their lives to social and economic justice. They are not as famous as Dr. King or Cesar Chavez, but their impact on people's lives was equally as important. These heroes include Charlotta Bass, community activist and editor and publisher of the California Eagle. Augustus Hawkins, the first African-American congressman and author of some of the most important civil rights legislation of the 1960s. Ruben Salazar, a journalist who covered stories of communities often ignored by the mainstream press. And Frances E. Williams, actress and activist who fought for greater representation of people of color in the entertainment industry.
Could we have quiet in the room, please? Thank you very much. Now, tonight I have the special privilege of presenting the Frances E. Williams Award to NBA champion Metta World Peace. We need this on the news. Let's try something. There's a bear on the loose in Pasadena. Oh, you missed your cue. Oh, well, we're gonna rehearse that. Now, we all know Metta World Peace for his amazing power on the court that earned him a championship ring in 2010 along with the Lakers, but he's also an incredible source for the empowerment of people who suffer with mental illness. He has courageously shared his own personal story as a young adult suffering from anger management issues and depression in order to raise awareness and lift the stigma of mental health treatment. He's focused his efforts around normalizing mental health issues and advocating for preventative treatment in the schools to support young people. In May of 2013, he partnered with the Los Angeles County Department of Mental Health for Mental Health Awareness Month to launch the Talk It Out campaign, which encouraged young people who felt pressured, stressed, or alone to seek services. He also partnered with Congresswoman Grace Napolitano of California to campaign for the Mental Health in Schools Act, which will increase funding for mental health services in schools and promote collaboration with families, providers, and social service systems. Reflecting his commitment and passion for this issue, in 2011, Metta World Peace auctioned off his championship ring and donated the proceeds to the organization working with youth and families in Queens where he grew up. Let's think about that for 1 second. How hard it is, first of all, just to get into the NBA. Then how hard it is to get with a team with a winning record, and then to get to the playoffs, to win a championship and get that championship ring. The odds are astronomical for any aspiring basketball player to even come close to that. He got it, he did it, and he auctioned it off. That is how important he believes this cause is. Let's take a closer look now at Metta World Peace.
I'm Metta World Peace. I play for the New York Knicks, small forward. The people of LA, it was a great time playing for the Los Angeles team, and we did a lot of great things. When I won the championship ring in 2010, immediately the next day I said, you know what, we're gonna auction this ring off for mental health awareness. We raised $700,000 with the ring. It's fun when the fans support your cause. That ring raffle was all fan driven. We hired an intern from college to look at all these different churches and institutions and homeless places, mainly focused on mental health prevention. I'm trying to, catch it, right, trying to catch these kids right where the turning point can possibly affect their lives. I think I can make a big change in the school system and in the communities. I've been heard loud and clearly, but not loud enough. So I got to do some more work here in New York City, back to LA and different communities in America. And I think my mission is very important. I think it's helpful. My story is basically growing up in an environment of mental illness, from depression, from some cases of schizophrenia, bipolar disorder. I've never been diagnosed with any of these issues, but it was more of an issue of things I've been through as a child that I discovered when I was in Sacramento. And this is about when I was 6 years into the NBA. So this one psychologist from Pennsylvania discovered, these different type of problems I had, wounds that I had since I was a child, closed up a lot of wounds, opened them back up, closed them back up, and taught me different ways to breathe and relax and different things like that. So it was like my life started all over again when I was about 25, 26 years old. And then it was like being born again. And now I just see psychologists, you know, because I just like psychologists. I visited the Community Coalition Awards, I think 2 years ago. Everybody was dressed up nice and classy, and I'm sure they're looking good tonight. And I was surprised to see the amount of people doing good work in the community, because you don't see it when you're doing it by yourself. You think you're the only one. And to see a group of people come together and give it back to the community, you know, it meant a lot to be there, and I look forward, you know, to being a part, you know, of this team.
Unfortunately, Metta World Peace could not be with us tonight because although he is part of the Community Coalition team, he is on a different basketball team now, the Knicks. It's okay. We can boo the Knicks, but cheer for Metta, all right? Now, while he really wanted to be with us tonight, unfortunately, he could not be here, so he has asked that we accept this honor on his behalf. This is it. Ladies and gentlemen, please now help me welcome Deborah Bryant, the new chair of the Community Coalition Board of Directors. Deborah.
Good evening. Good. Welcome to our annual People Power Progress Awards. I'm Deborah Bryant. I am chair of Community Coalition's Board of Directors. On behalf of Community Coalition, I would like to thank some of our sponsors, starting with our top sponsors, AEG and Southern California Edison. We would also like to thank the California Endowment, Kaiser Permanente, Margaret Casey Foundation, Katie McGrath and J.J. Abrams, SEIU Local 99, Sony Pictures Entertainment, Union Bank, J.C. Penney, and Wells Fargo Bank. We've had a transformative year. Last summer, I went to Alex Haley's farm in Tennessee to learn more about the Children's Defense Fund's Freedom Schools model. We have some Freedom Schoolers here. Well, I drank the Freedom School Kool-Aid, and we're going to share some of that Kool-Aid with you tonight. Since our last People Power Progress Awards, we have knocked on thousands of doors and have made tens of thousands of phone calls to get the vote out, to get people out to events, actions, and meetings, to get involved in campaigns to change the conditions in their own neighborhoods. You may also know that we became homeowners last year. Well, we are getting ready for a major renovation of the Community Coalition offices to bring our facilities back to its historic grandeur and to look like the organization that we want to be for our community. So yes. So our freedom schools have grown. Our civic engagement programs have grown. Our capital has grown. And we are so excited to have you with us every step of the way. Thank you.
Classroom that will increase graduation rates and will put more students on track to college instead of prison.
know is not one that's going to help our future, but send us down in a pit.
I just want to welcome everybody to our King Estates Fresh Food Market.
It really feels excited because I thought it was never going to come to our neighborhood.
Every person you talk to today will have a huge impact.
I feel like every student, no matter where you go to school, should have the same access to education, the same access to a quality education at that.
The word that came up a lot of times was frustration. I feel like it's up to elected officials to make sure that you guys are behind this.
And the winner of our street art contest. Give it up for Gnu!
What I painted was justice to correct the injustice, so I put Zimmerman locked up. I feel like he should be. That's what's up.
When you look around this park, this is a safe park, a clean park, and a park that the community can use. Everybody here ought to give themselves a big round of applause for what you've accomplished at Martin Luther King Park.
Well, what incredible and inspiring work. And before I bring up our next speaker, I would like to take a brief moment again to acknowledge one of our sponsors that we didn't mention earlier, our partner for progress, the Southern California Gas Company. Let's hear it for them. And let's hear one more generous round of applause for all of our supporters, and that includes all of you who are here tonight. Thank you. Now I would like to bring up a pivotal person that has helped make Community Coalition one of our city's leading social change organizations. Please welcome President and CEO of Community Coalition, Marc Harris Dawson. Cue the band.
I'm not going to miss out on my song, so I wanted to give him plenty of time to get it together. Thank you all for being here at the 13th Annual Community Coalition Awards Dinner. You all look amazing. The room looks amazing. Thank you so much for joining us in the celebration. Start by giving yourselves a big round of applause. The first order of business for me tonight is to acknowledge some of the special guests that we've had here this evening. We've got a star-studded crowd tonight, and so if I overlook anybody, don't be too upset with me. I'm happy to get back up and have another song and announce you. But I just want to start with one of the most famous people in our community, a pioneer on food justice who's all over the internet and become a huge folk hero for us all. Ron Finley is here tonight. Our good friend and television star, will hear more from him this evening. Jesse Williams is here. You saw the battle that we had over the prison expansion that the state was proposing. Our point person and the person that represents the Community Coalition in the California State Assembly, Assemblyman Reginald Jones Sawyer, was here with us tonight. Side by side with him in the Assembly is our good friend Steve Bradford, who represents the area just south of us, Assemblyman Bradford. We have folks from our good friend Supervisor Mark Ridley Thomas's office in the house tonight. Alex, Fernando, wave your hand. Let's give them a big round of applause. We have folks from the mayor's office, including Joseph Chicas and our own Tono Allende. Where are you all at? Representing Mayor Garcetti. And we have at least one candidate in the house, and he happens to be my Morehouse brother, so I'm doing him a solid. Sebastian Ridley Thomas, a candidate for California State Assembly. And for me, the most important elected official that there is, and for our organization, the most important elected official there is, sorry, Steve and Reggie and everybody else, our founder and the leader of our movement, Congresswoman Karen Bass. And lastly, my own elected official. I elected her and she elected me, and we've been married over 15 years now. The one and only Carrie Harris. Stand up and let them see you, please. It is my job every year at the dinner to kind of set the context and let you all know how we're thinking about the world and what we think the possibilities are, what we think the challenges are, and what we think the opportunities going forward are going to be. And for us, nothing sets the context more for the coming year and the coming years than the successful implementation of Obamacare, or the Affordable Care Act. Some of us on our side of the table, and we join in with them, we were for single payer, and we wanted a little bit more here, and we wanted a little bit more there, and we got what we got. What we don't want to do as an organization is make the mistake of sitting on the sidelines and watching to see whether or not the Obamacare, the Affordable Care Act, is going to work. We want to dig in and make sure it works. We are very clear about what has been done. We're just as clear about what happened with Obamacare as the right wing is. They know what happened. That's why they're acting crazy. They know that this is the biggest transfer of wealth from the top to the middle and the bottom that we've seen in most of our lifetimes. They also know, like the Civil Rights Act and like Social Security and like Medicare, this is the start. This is the floor now. And we get to build upon the floor. We get to do more next year and the year after that, right? When they passed the Civil Rights Act, affirmative action wasn't in it. We had to continue to fight and fight and fight till we got to the point where we want affirmative action. And one day we'll do what we need so that everybody gets the highest quality care available anywhere in the world, and that'll be your birthright as someone who lives here in the United States. At the same time, we know the backlash is coming. When we did the Civil Rights Act, and we can use that as a lesson, folks spent about 40 or 50 years trying to get back at us, right? Monty and Laney, they did Prop 13, and then they tried to take away bilingual education, and then they passed draconian immigration laws and a whole host of other policies from one end of the country to the other to push back on the gains. And so this time, since we know what the playbook is, we want to be ready for that battle. So we want to build more, and we want to push back on the pushback. We know that Obamacare, again, is not all that it should be, but the only possibility that it has of working is if everyday people like the members of the coalition and folks like you in labor and business and other community organizations get involved and make it work. And we can't get distracted every time the website breaks or a doctor is upset with somebody or things happen when you're trying to do something big. We want to keep our eyes on the prize and realize the day that our community and everybody in the United States receives the kind of health care and mental health care that they deserve. Another important event for us this year, and I've been at the coalition for more than 15 years now, and I don't know that I've seen a moment that was more poignant and more moving and stopped everybody in their tracks, especially our young people, as a Trayvon Martin verdict. young people came and called to our office and said, okay, you all talk about this justice and registering people to vote and phone banking and community meetings, but did you see what happened? And like a lot of them, I didn't quite know what to say. It was one of the most devastating things that we saw. But after we took a breath and we got together and we did what we always do at the Community Coalition, we organize. We participated in events in Leimert Park. We participated in events on Crenshaw Boulevard. The mayor had just been elected, I think, a week or two before. He came out to the Community Coalition to talk with our young people. We joined him at Dorsey High School for a press conference to call for calm, but also call for action. As one of our young people put it, we know the windows that got broken are going to get fixed, but we got to work on fixing justice. So, in order to channel some of our frustrations and some of our anger and angst, we organized events in the community, and we used those events as a way to let people, one, let out some of the energy that they had stored up, but two, also connect with the Community Coalition as an organization and set ourselves up as a place where people can come when events like this happen. And so some of our staff and young people conceived an art project that you see up there that is a portrait of Trayvon Martin made up of individual pictures from community members wearing their Community Coalition hoodie. So we took these pictures at our art walk. We took these pictures at the Taste of Soul. We took these pictures at our Power Fest in King Park, which, by the way, for everybody who's this is an aside, everybody who says that people don't want Obamacare or it's troublesome signing up, we were out there in the park. Some of you were with us. People were lined up to sign up with clinics like UMA and St. John's. They were there to line up to sign up for Obamacare before we could get the chairs down and put the tent up. Over 1,500 people came to that event that day. So this is the piece of art. It should be on the screen behind me. We want to thank the hundreds and thousands of people who took pictures with their hoodie on for joining in this momentous event with us. I also want to acknowledge one of our staff members, Jerry Lawrence. Where's Jerry? For conceiving the idea and helping coordinate. And one of our Say Yeah graduates who we're going to keep pushing him and keep watching him. We expect him to graduate from law school in June. Raul Campo, stand up. Where's Raul? Oh, you're way in the back. There he is. They conceived the idea and put together this tribute, and so we're very grateful to them. We're very grateful to the residents of South Los Angeles who participated in the project. We will donate this artwork to the Trayvon Martin Family Foundation. Thank you all, and enjoy the balance of your evening. I have another acknowledgement. I have another recognition. I said I have another recognition. We want to recognize the Office of City Council President, Mr. Herb Wesson, is in the house. Thank you all.
Marquise, thank you, and thank you for all the great work that you do. You're awesome. All right. All right, everyone, I want to encourage you to get your bids in for the silent auction. It lasts until 8:45 tonight, so you have a little more than 45 minutes to get your bids in, and you will be alerted by text message if you get the item that you bid on and you're a winner. And right now, I would like to introduce the band that's going to take us through dinner. We got a little early sampling of them, but now we get to hear the full deal. The band is called A Place Called Homes, 29 live band. Thanks for being here, guys. Take it away.
The CDF Freedom Schools is a summer enrichment program that was founded by Marian Wright Edelman, who heads up the Children's Defense Fund.
We took the concept of the Freedom Schools from the Summer Project of 1964, where we, in the middle of the voter registration activities, we wanted to have children safe and to have them understand and get some citizenship education.
She thought that given the state of our current public education, this was a model that was important in really dealing with the cradle to prison pipeline.
We took that and we put a real curriculum underneath it. We began to develop thoughtful books for children to read.
I didn't want to come to Freedom School because my dad, explained it as being boring. They kind of said it's going to be reading and stuff like that, and I wasn't pretty fond of reading until now.
The head of Bethel Baptist Church quickly was seen as a leader and spokesman for the city's poor and working class Negroes.
We teach children that they can make a difference, as the children in the 1960s really were the frontline soldiers of the Civil Rights Revolution.
I know that the Freedom School is being very influential to him because he's starting to use words like social justice and judicial system and prevention versus suppression.
They show you the fun part of reading and how you gain knowledge. You can just gain knowledge by just sitting down or at home all day reading. And I think that's real, dope.
The Freedom School trains college-age students to work with children in communities of color.
I see that, when I am talking about college and how beneficial it is and how it can open doors for you, they can actually see that I really mean that. And I'm not just some random person talking to them, because I was in a situation that I did go to their high school and I'm here now and I'm challenging them to meet me where I'm at.
Freedom Schools motivated me to go to college because where we come from, not a lot of people come from our projects and go to, college and four-year colleges at that.
A lot of the teachers I felt resonated with our kids because they're not far removed from that age.
Mr. Malik been an amazing teacher. I also looked at him like an older brother.
Victoria is a student in my classroom.
And get in a line, one behind the other.
I saw her transform from a student who was, I don't want to say problematic, but who was definitely resistant and doing a lot of things to being one of the most helpful students here in the program and one of the most engaged.
I do feel different I started 2 months ago. I will always think myself less. I would think that, that I'm never gonna accomplish nothing. But what Freedom School made me realize is that, you can accomplish a lot if you believe in it.
CDF's Freedom Schools has really shown to families that we believe that families are the agents of change, and seeing that light bulb, go off and that fire in people's belly really helps to remind me why we do the work that we do at Community Coalition.
Oh, that food was good. Anyways, Good evening. My name is Alfonso Aguilar, and I was born and raised in South LA. I am a junior at Fremont High School. In my free time, I like to draw anime, and then I'm also the club president. I'm the president of a club called Fremont Races Food, and what we do is we host food eating challenges, and as you guys can see, I love to eat.
My name is Damian Valentine, and I am a junior at Manual Arts High School. Thank you. I grew up in South Central my whole life, born and raised. I have a passion for golf and football. I love playing with yo-yos. And you haven't seen a good Broadway musical, Until You've Seen Wicked. It's my favorite.
My name is Timothy Walker, and I'm a junior at Crenshaw High School. I was born in Compton and raised in South LA. I am a huge Laker fan, and they are going to the playoffs. I also love acting, and I'm very passionate about community organizing.
Fat, stupid, losers, those are all words I grew up hearing. And I didn't accept myself for being who I was because I was a young man of color, and I knew I was always looked down upon. On my way to and from school, I have been jumped at least 10 times. I've been beaten up with brass knuckles, small bats, and once even a pipe. I used to get into fights all the time to get back at the kids who did this to me. And even though it wasn't safe for me to walk around my neighborhood, I still did it to help that, and it helped me with all the stress I had at home. One day, my father got laid off. And he told me, and he got really, really sick. He told me, you never know when I'm going to be gone, and you need to become ready to be the man of the house. This made me really scared, and it made me really nervous, because I had my future on my shoulders, and I also had my family's as well. So I knew that I had to get the best education I can, to go to the best college that is possible, and actually give back to my family.
Most of my life, it's been my sister, my mom, and one of my brothers. My 4 older brothers have had a lot of challenges. My oldest brother, Marcus, was involved in gangs from a young age, and as a result, was shot and almost died. My mom has worked hard to keep my sister and me from the challenges my brothers have faced. But when me and my sister were 6 years old, we became homeless. I felt I had to protect my mom and my sister, even though I was at a young age. I persevered with the faith that our lives would change and get better.
Instead of supporting my dreams, South LA schools have been pushing me out of class and into the streets when I get in trouble. My first time being suspended was in the 7th grade at John Muir Middle School. A teacher asked me to move my seat twice for talking. I got frustrated and asked why. I wasn't hurting anyone. When I started to explain myself, she sent me to the principal's office for being willfully defiant. I got suspended. When I returned to class, my relationship with my teacher only got worse. I was afraid to talk to her, even avoided making eye contact. I felt if I ever spoke in class, she would suspend me again. Before I reached the 9th grade, I had been suspended 6 times. Adults in school spend a lot of time stopping my fights and acts of defiance, but never stopped to understand why I got so easily upset. They didn't know my mom had been laid off of her job as a cafeteria worker. They never learned that I lost my father 3 weeks before my 7th birthday. They never knew that I had been diagnosed with leukemia and that my father was on the way to the hospital to see me when he stopped at a gas station to fill up the tank, and out of nowhere, someone shot and killed him. They never asked, and they never knew.
Just like Damien, I've also been suspended in school. Once for fighting and another time for walking in the hallway and being late to class. As a kid, I was always used to a culture of suspensions. I thought once I'm suspended, I could just go home and chill. But the reality is, when you're suspended, you're alone, you have to catch up on the work alone, and there's no support. There's no one to help you. Our campaign was about changing how adults deal with students.
We joined the school climate bill of rights campaign so that students couldn't be suspended for willful defiance. They had to state a specific reason. A lot of my friends were getting suspended for having their headphones on, for having their hoodie on, or for even forgetting their school supplies. And we didn't want students to lose less learning time just because of the things they did. We joined a coalition of organizations across LA to show elected officials that it just wasn't a little bit of people who actually cared about this. When I was inside the LAUSD Board of Education room, Damien and I were the first to give a testimony. I was really nervous when I heard there was over 300 students and parents outside counting on us. But then I was really shocked when I found out that we won 5-2. And when a USC professor told me something that I thought I would never hear in my lifetime, is that we just made history.
Yes, we did. Yes, we did. Yes, we did. When the resolution passed, as soon as I got outside, I hugged Timothy and yelled, "We did it!" I felt great that I could be a part of something so big.
We did this because we need to end school push-out in South LA.
Yes.
We need more African American and Latino students graduating from high school and going on to college. And we can now reach our dreams if adults keep giving up on us. Winning this campaign has really opened my eyes to see our power as a united group of students. We can do anything as long as we come together and demand it.
After our campaign victory, we got another opportunity of a lifetime. We became junior interns at the Freedom Schools program to mentor younger students and hope the next generation of you activists right after us. Community Coalition has taught me to accept myself for being who I am, for being the young man of color who I am right now. And I want to pass this on and help out every other young man of color accept themselves for who they are. And my dream is to go to USC. Go Trojans! What? And come back to South LA and become a youth organizer to actually help the next generation right after me.
I just want to say that Community Coalition is not a thing that you do. It's not something that you volunteer for. It's a way of life. I never thought that someone like me could speak in front of a crowd full of smart people like you. Because most of my life, I was the kid who was always messing up. I never did anything positive, and I never wanted to help anyone. And I especially didn't like sharing my story. I didn't think that my story of being suspended and getting into trouble could impact and change lives. But that's what Community Coalition's taught me. It's taught me that our stories are important, and that all we need is young men of color or adults who believe that we can make it. My dream is to go to USC too, and go into the medical field, or become the CEO of Community Coalition. Watch out, Marquise.
Everything that I've learned here is giving me more of a purpose. Being a leader means having people set high expectations for you. I'm proud of the work that we've accomplished, but I still think that there's way more that needs to be done. The three of us went from being suspended students or so-called stupid losers to leaders in freedom schools, inspiring a new generation of kids to read books, learn civil rights history, and just serve the community. We could be the example by setting new examples. I want men of color to be successful collectively, not just one of us, but all of us.
Yes. Criminal, wetback, illegal. Alfonso. Those were some of the words I heard growing up, but not at Community Coalition. They saw me as someone who could do things, had potential and power. I'm Carlos Leon. I graduated from Community Coalition's youth program, South Central Youth Empowered Through Action. Or say yeah. Say what?
Say yeah!
That's right. I've been a newspaper delivery boy, a day laborer outside Home Depot, waiter, server, tutor, host, dancer, choreographer, bartender, Zumba instructor, you name it. And lately, even a monster of the LA Haunted Hayride. I came to visit the US when I was 9 years old. And my mom saw this as an opportunity to escape my dad and domestic violence, so we stayed. I attended a high school in South Central built for 1,800 people, but there was 5,000 of us in that school. I remember being caught in tardy sweeps, and we would all be taken to detention. It kind of seemed fun at that time, but now I realize and think how senseless that was. I was late 2 minutes, and we have to miss a whole class day after day. Eventually, I became the president of my high school, and I graduated with a 4.3 GPA. Community Coalition got me to do the impossible, to apply and get accepted to multiple colleges throughout the US. But without documents and or financial aid, I chose to go to Cal State Long Beach. I held 2 to 3 jobs at a time, and sometimes I even paid with rolled coins for my own tuition. But I did it. I wore button-down shirts just so I wouldn't get pulled over, and I did everything I could to look like I was not from South Central LA. I didn't wear hoodies. I didn't wear baggy pants. Maybe even if I wanted to, that was my survival mechanism. I graduated, and I really wanted to go to graduate school, but I was exhausted. I've held maybe over 10 jobs, and I got asked to be a manager for 3 of them, but I had to turn them down, each one, because of my undocumented status. But then came Freedom Schools. That was the first job I've held that I was really passionate about. It was the first place where I didn't have to hide that I was undocumented. In fact, that's where I realized the power of sharing my story with the kids and connecting with them. I feel so humble to have used that experience and my pain in connecting with them and let them see through my eyes that I knew exactly what they were going through. See, I had grown up learning to stay silent, but Community Coalition youth before me had protested against Proposition 187, which attacked undocumented immigrants. That's right. And as an activist youth at the COCO, I protested against Proposition 227, which attacked bilingual education. Yes. Sometimes Community Coalition's investment in justice and in us takes some time to pay off. But last year on June 17, I was participating in civil disobedience around the DREAM Act. And we chanted, "We are undocumented and unafraid." The reality, I was very afraid. See, I have an amazing wife and 2 gorgeous daughters. And I was terrified of getting deported or being taken away from them. But that same morning, we got the news that Obama had passed DACA, the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals. And on this year of 9/11, I got my DACA application approved. I got my social security number the same week that my daughter got hers. And I'm sorry, it's been over 20 years. Finally, it's still a little surreal. I have this new sense of freedom. I'm used to hustling and being in the shadows in the underground economy. But now I have 2 years to prove how to use this new Social Security number and to demonstrate what it means to be a true American citizen. So I will continue to fight with my brothers and sisters for a better society. And my ultimate goal is to make the path better for those that come right behind me. Immigration reform. Sí se puede.
Sí se puede.
Thank you.
So here we stand, 3 generations of black and brown men, not only surviving, but thriving. A wise man said to me once that our children are actually our elders in real time, because they actually send us in the world to lay the pathway for them to come. So I feel blessed and fortunate to be amongst these young men who I've had an opportunity to come in the world before you and lay the foundation for your coming. You know, because, I mean, you're who we've been waiting for. Despite all of the challenges and all of the heartbreaks that we go through, you're the one. So my name is Akila Sherrills, and like many of these young men, I had a hard life. I grew up in the Jordantown housing projects and participated in what many social justice activists called one of the longest running wars in the history of this country, which is urban street gang wars. Over the past 25 years alone, just in LA County, it has claimed more than 25,000 lives. It doesn't include those who have been permanently maimed or incarcerated for the rest of their life behind their participation. The children, the families, all suffer from post-traumatic stress disorder, hypervigilance, traumatic stress, because we're still experiencing it on a daily basis. We've lost more lives in South LA over the past 25 years than in the Northern Ireland conflict and the Palestinian-Israeli conflict combined. So that's the magnitude of what we suffer through. But we understand that where the wounds are is actually where the gift lies. In the early 80s, I saw crack cocaine plow through my neighborhood like Hurricane Katrina, uprooting families, making friends into enemies, fracturing the human spirit. By the time I graduated from high school in 1987, I had witnessed things that no child should be subject to. The murder of my good friend, Razem Pointer. I always like to invoke this brother's name because it was the first significant murder in my life. On my junior high school campus, the incarceration of 90% of my friends who all did juvenile life, meaning that they went to jail at 15 and they came home when they were about 27, and numerous bodies that littered the projects from misunderstandings and miscommunications and drug overdoses. I never questioned the violence that I saw happening in the neighborhood, because ultimately it meant to question the violence that I experienced in my own household. And I really didn't have the language or the courage to do so. But I was fortunate, like many of these young men. I had good mentors in my life who stirred me to college. I went to Cal State Northridge. I met Dr. Johnny Scott, who is still there today, who encouraged me to read. And in my reading, I read the autobiography of Malcolm X. I read James Baldwin, The Evidence of Things Not Seen. I read Claude Brown's Man-Child in the Promised Land, and these books gave me courage, they gave me language. And they sent me back to my neighborhood to do something about the violence that I was witnessing on a daily basis. I had an opportunity to begin to converse with many of the cats that I grew up in the neighborhood, and in 1992, after 4 long, hard years of labor, hooking up with Hall of Fame great Jim Brown, we organized a peace treaty in our neighborhood that changed the quality of life in the community. Last year, we celebrated the 20th anniversary of the peace treaty. And many of us who are a part of the movement, and some of those individuals are here tonight, Skip Townsend, Gerald Thompson, Andre Christensen, a bunch of brothers and everything who are all a part of that movement, making that happen. We reflected on the movement, and today, as a result of our collective work, LA is no longer on the top 15 most violent city list. We're experiencing a 40-year low as it relates to violence in the city, 10 consecutive years in a row of decreases in violent crime and murder, a 30% decrease in gang homicides in the first quarter of this year alone. And I credit those interventionists that I just named with the hard labor that they do on a daily basis. And of course, we give law enforcement some credit. We give law enforcement some credit, because there's been a shift and a change within the department. But ultimately, the first line of any public safety effort always comes from the community itself. So, I know we got a lot of elected officials here, so I got to advocate on behalf of our folks. 8 consecutive years in a row, interventionists have not gotten a cost of living increase, nor do they get overtime for all of the work that they do. So we got to look into that. New grid contracts are coming out. You know, we got to get at the table and have a conversation about that. And I also want to say something about a gentleman, Nathaniel Perkins Ali. All of us know this brother as Brother Ali. Brother Ali made his transition this year, but he left behind a great legacy in us. The last time I saw the brother was at the Prevention Network meeting at Community Coalition. Still fighting the good fight, talking about the work that he did in founding the National Association for Brothers and Sisters Inside and Out, ending this pipeline of our young folks going in and out of institutions. So tonight, I know that his sons and his daughter are here, and we just want to say that your father was a hero, was a warrior to us. And today, we stand on his shoulders, and that his legacy lives on through us. So with that, I just wanted to say that, you know, Community Coalition has been the vanguard in the Black and brown community for the past many, many years. 22 years, Lord have mercy, man, I'm getting old. 22 years. Community Coalition has been the vanguard in the Black and brown community, and we just love you. We want you to continue to support them, because the work that they do is imperative to our survival. Thank you.
Oh, picture first? Okay, I got you. Hold up. Got that. All right. Tell me what you feel like doing, y'all. Hold up, wait a minute, let me put some in it. Ooh. I love my neighborhood. Say what? Ooh. I love my neighborhood. Tell me what you feel like doing, y'all. Hold up, wait a minute, let me put some freedom in it. Ooh, I love my neighborhood. Say what? Ooh, I love my neighborhood. One more time. Tell me what you feel like doing, y'all.
I feel like leaving my tribe.
Hold up, wait a minute, let me put some freedom in it. Ooh, I love my neighborhood. Say what? Ooh, I love my neighborhood.
Are y'all tired yet?
No!
Are y'all ready to quit?
No!
Are y'all tired yet?
No!
Are y'all ready to quit?
No!
Because we rock this here, we rock this here, we rock to the rhythm of the funky jam. Because reading books is where I am. Oh, 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 because reading books is where I am. Are y'all tired yet?
No!
Are y'all ready to quit?
No! No!
No! We rock this here, we rock this here, we rock to the rhythm of the funky jam. Because reading books is where I am. Oh, 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 because reading books is where I am.
We got book minds
In the house.
We got readers
In the house.
We got leaders
In the house is text. Say what? In the house is text.
We got bright minds
In the house.
We got bold minds
In the
We
house.
got readers
In the house is text. Say what? In the house is text.
We got Deborah Bryant
In the house.
We got Marc Dawson
In the house.
We got Jesse Williams
In the house is text. Say what? In the house is text.
And we got Karen Bass
In the house.
And the house is
text.
Good job, good job. G-O-O-D-J-O-B, good job, good job.
Thanks. Wow, that was amazing. Yeah? There's so much energy in the room tonight. Can we hear you guys give them a round of applause?
I mean, these young men that were up here tonight have all been a part of Community Coalition, either from their high school years, some of them are in their 20s, some of them are now entering their 30s, some of them are still teenagers. But as you can see, I mean, the energy, the excitement, the love that they bring to this world is something we all thrive off of, right? Thank you, Alfonso, Damien, Timothy, Carlos, Aquila, and all the amazing men that just left the stage. Let's give it up for them one more time.
One more time. Thank you. So good evening, everyone. Thank you all again so much for being here with us tonight. My name's Leslie Cooper, and I'm a proud staff member of Community Coalition. Yay. Thanks. I've been at the Coalition for 7 years now, and the time has just flown by. I truly, every day, I just feel so blessed to be a part of this work.
And good evening to you. My name is Alberto Retana. I'm the Executive Vice President at Community Coalition. And time has flown by. I started as a young 23-year-old in 1998. I volunteered in 1996 around Proposition 209. And here we are years later celebrating together all the work that we've done.
Thank you. You look good. What's your...
Thank you. Nice color.
Thank you. Yes, everyone's
Works with the tie.
Thank you. So, you know, we've heard some really powerful testimonies here tonight. We heard Timothy talk about his vision that not just one of us succeed, but all of us, right? And in order for us to make Timothy's vision a reality, all of us in this room, all of us in this city, and all of us in this country need to come together. because we know that when we act together, we're much more powerful than we are when we're alone.
Yes, and you did fail to mention one thing, Leslie. I'm sorry.
What did I miss?
That you are the development director and the person in charge of this whole thing that's happening tonight.
Oh, yeah.
We give it up to Leslie Cooper. Not to take away from the young men, of course, but there's always strong women in the work. But we did want to acknowledge men tonight because of the important investment that we want to make in them. And we heard from folks like Carlos Leon and his story of resilience and his story of struggle, but the need to do it with others. And we heard from folks like Aquila Chirals, who's a national hero in our community, who's done work to change the lives and laid out the foundation around passing the torch from generation to generation. It was an honor to be here to hear them tonight. So thank you, Aquila, Carlos, and the rest of you.
Yeah, thank you so much. We heard Aquila talk about his life being changed because people investing in him. And we know that when people are invested in, that's when they flourish. So the way that we invest in our Youth and Community Coalition, one of the ways is through our Leadership Academy. And so the Academy is like leadership boot camp. So the youth learn about the history of South LA, they learn about the importance of education reform, and when they're done with the Academy, their organizing skills are sharpened, they're able to mobilize their peers, and they come out really being able to lead campaigns to change public education and improve the conditions in their schools.
Oh, but Leslie, it's so much more than about politics.
Tell us all about it.
Jeez, I mean, politics is important, right? But we also know that a lot of these young men talked about going to the university, four-year colleges. Is that not a part of the struggle?
USC got a lot of love tonight.
USC got a lot of love.
Just saying.
Are there any Bruins in the house?
Okay, we got one Bruin over here, Baron Davis in the house. Give it up for Baron Davis, a Bruin.
Yes, Baron Davis in the house. But we also invest not only in their political development, we invest in their academic development, because it's not enough to be a leader and not graduate high school, not go to college, and not come back to your community. So we invest in them by providing tutoring, by providing academic support services, SAT prep. We go on a summer trip or a fall trip to the Bay Area, visit universities, and they get the academic enrichment on top of the political enrichment.
So you can see the theme of the night is investment. And all of you here have already made an investment in Community Coalition just by being here, and we are extremely grateful for that. So please give yourselves a round of applause one more time. And so right now, we'd like to offer you the opportunity to deepen your investment in our work by making an additional gift that is significant to you.
Deepen the investment. You know, at Community Deepen the investment. At Community Coalition, we believe in setting high standards, setting goals, and meeting the expectation. So tonight, in front of you, we are going to come out and be bold and make a $25,000 goal to meet tonight so that we can continue investing in our young people, our young men of color, through the academies, through the political development, through the academics. And remember, each and every gift out there is important to us, no matter how big or how small.
That's right. So we want to start with some pledges, and we have some technology that we're using tonight. You guys liking GiveSmart? Are you bidding on silent auction stuff on your phones? You like that? All right, cool. Okay, so, thank you, Jeff. Jeffy Mai, thank you so much. So as you see here, we have a little thermometer, a little visual, and we really want to see everybody's name up on the screen. So like Alberto said, no gift is too large, no gift is too small. Don't worry, it won't say the amount up there, so don't be scared. It'll just say your name. And so for those of you who are already using your smartphones tonight to bid on the auction, there's a green donate button on the screen. So you can go ahead and click that, put in your donation, and then you can look up there and see your name.
So if you're doing it by text message, simply go and simply reply to the registration text received with the word GIVE, G-I-V-E, with your donation amount. That's G-I-V-E, followed by a space and an amount that you would like to give. So it would be G-I-V-E, and Alberto will then give $100 tonight as a contribution to Community Coalition. But for those of you that don't want to use smartphones, I know there's some folks out there that don't want to put their information out there. We have people with cards walking around that you can give money the old-fashioned way. Go into your purse, go into your wallet, pull out a checkbook, and make a deepened investment tonight to Community Coalition.
So we wanted to start with some pledges. We want to see what level of investment we can get out there. So is there anyone? Oh, thank you, Gwendolyn Forrest. Right. Thank you, Saida Soto. Children's Defense Fund in the house.
Isabella Brewster.
All right, wonderful. So like we said, no gift is too large or too small. So do we think anyone out there is willing to make a $5,000 investment in our youth tonight?
$5,000 investments.
Is there $5,000 out there?
And Leslie, what will these $5,000 do?
It's funny that you ask, because $5,000 is actually enough to support our Leadership Academy for 10 youth. That includes the transportation, that includes food, curriculum, and the transportation is really important because it helps get the youth to those Bay Area college tours that they go out to. Yeah. Oh, put the number up. The crowd has demanded. All right, is there $5,000 out there? Anybody? Oh, Angela Glover, thank you.
Raul Ocampo,
our artist, our Trayvon Martin artist.
Okay, so while you are sitting there thinking about that $5,000 investment, I know that some of you are thinking, you know what? Maybe not $5,000, but I can probably do $2,500 tonight. Maybe $2,500 I can definitely give tonight because $2,500 will help fund stipends for college students that'll come and work with our young people, provide the tutoring that they need, provide some of the mentoring that they need, break the bridge between the university and the community, and eliminate that gap for our neighborhood. So do we have any pledges for $2,500 tonight?
Anyone out there? I just saw Alicia Lara donated. Thank you so much. United Way of Greater Los Angeles. Thank you. Put the numbers up again. They're calling for them. All right. Now, okay, so do we have any pledges for $1,000 out there? Raise your hands up high. All right, I see some. We got one here. We got one here. That's Deborah Bryant. Thank you so much.
Another hand in the back.
We got another one here. Another one. Oh, wonderful.
And I just got note that we have one anonymous $2,500 pledge tonight.
All right.
So can we give it up to Mr. or Mrs. Anonymous? Thank you.
Thank you, Anonymous. All right.
First name Anon, last name Miss Anonymous. Excellent.
That's anonymous. And here comes our president. So any more $1,000 out there?
Guess what? We have another Mr. or this is, I think, Mrs. Anonymous for $5,000.
All right.
So we had a $5,000 anonymous and a $2,500 anonymous and a few $1,000 unanonymous in the audience.
Unanonymous. All right, any other $1,000 pledges out there? How about $500? Anybody feel like giving $500 tonight to help support our youth? Wonderful. Thank you, Assemblyman Bradford. Thank you so much. Any other $500 pledges? Put your hands up high so we can see you. All right.
What are we at? We're doing $500 pledges? Is that what you said?
Yes.
You know, let's take a...
Yes.
Sorry. Let's take a moment and be organizers for a second. Why don't you look around your table? There's about 9 other folks sitting with you. If you all put your heads together and put some money together, if you're willing, I know it's tough times, but if you can, deepen your collective investment as a table. Let's take 2 minutes to just talk to your table and say, hey, I got 5, I got 5, I got 20, I got 50. Hey, who knows at a table we get a $100 contribution. So let's take 2 minutes to organize. Yeah. This should be a buzz right now. This is a convention. We should hear everybody talking. So while you're doing that, you can continue. Let's take 2 minutes to do that.
This is what we call in South LA piecing up on something.
In the meantime, again, we just heard from our Senator Bradford. Give it up to Senator Bradford for some money. Thank you for your investment tonight.
And Jonathan Nomachi, thank you. Can we have some thinking about our pledge music?
Hey, and Leslie, have you ever been on this Bay Area trip with the youth?
I haven't. Excuse me, I was distracted by the band. Aren't they wonderful?
Yes, the band is wonderful.
No, I haven't been on the tour. What happens on the tour?
The band is going to play a 30-second inspirational jam. If you're here for some inspiration, let's give ourselves a big round of applause. Oh, that's not inspiration. I want to feel the inspiration. Big round of applause for you tonight. All right, I think that's enough. Thank you for the time. Wonderful band. Any tables have any contributions they'd like to announce? Thank you. Thank you. Excellent job. Thank you very much. Thank you. Any other contributions?
All right.
Oh, look at Catherine Sorellis.
Yay, thank you.
Well, look, we want to thank everybody for your contributions tonight. Any donation, you have all night to send us a text. So as you are walking through the silent auction, you have an opportunity to get on that smartphone, walk up to any coalition member, and ask for one of those envelopes. Thank you, thank you, thank you. No donation is too large, no donation is too small. We appreciate your support and for being here tonight.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, everyone. Enjoy the rest of the evening.
Thank you all for your generosity and for your smartphones and for the smart use of your smartphones. We've heard some really great and moving stories from the young men who were assembled on this stage. Let's give our speakers one more round of applause. Thank them for sharing. It occurred to me as Akila Sherrill was up here talking about how the murder rate has gone down. We went through a 10-day period last week, 10 days preceding, where there was not a single murder in the city of Los Angeles. A 10-day period where no one died violently. And I say this because it's a great thing that happened, but if Mayor Bloomberg perhaps is listening, they did it without stop and frisk. They did it without violating the rights of young men. I have now stepped off my soapbox. I am now your host again. Sometimes you got to go off script. Now, before we move on to the final award, there is a final reminder, of course, that the silent auction is going to be closing very shortly. So please make your final bids as quickly as possible. And now we move to the final award of the night. Tonight's recipient of the Charlotta Bass Award is a giant, a legend of the civil rights movement, the Reverend James Lawson. And before we present his award, let's take a closer look.
When I was in the 4th grade, my mother sent me on an errand up to Main Street of the city. In the process, a child yelled, "Nigger," at me. And I walked over and smacked the child, finished the errand, and was sitting in the kitchen talking to my mother. And without turning to face me, she quietly asked me the question, "Jimmy, what good did that do?" It was a turning point in my life, but the last thing she said to me was, "Jimmy, there must be a better way." When I started reading Gandhi in 1947, I recognized very quickly that we black people could change a lot of Jim Crow law and racism and so forth through nonviolent tactics. As the Montgomery bus boycott occurred in 1955, I recognized that this is what I was hoping to see happen, and I knew that I would be involved in it. But then I was in graduate school at Oberlin College in Ohio, and King was coming there to speak. And so I made certain I was at the speech, and then afterwards went to a small luncheon. And as it turned out, I was the first person to arrive, and Martin King was the second person to arrive. As King recognized that I had been planning for 10 years to probably go south, he said to me very quietly, "Come now. Don't wait, we need you now." I moved to Nashville, Tennessee, and I dropped out of grad school. By the fall of '58, I decided that I was going to experiment with changing Nashville through nonviolent action. as the next step to show that Montgomery was not an accident, but also to show another way of doing it.
Which sort of tries to set the stage for an actual demonstration, for an actual sit-in.
And while the history books mark 4 students from Greensboro as starting it, everyone who studies the case knows that the Nashville movement that had begun in '59 became the center and the heart of the movement and what King called the model nonviolent campaign. Not only did it become the model, but because of serious teaching, preparation for it, I was able to produce many of the staff people who then continued teaching and creating campaigns in Albany, the Freedom Ride, the Mississippi Summer. King and I, with Ella Baker, were the organizers of the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, which I basically named. Well, I was a pastor in Memphis from 1962 on, but in 1968, 1,300 black workers who were the sanitation people walked off the job. So I went to their meetings and supported them. But as a part of that organizing, we wanted major figures to come in to speak. And so King was one of the figures the strategy committee asked to come in, and I did the phone calling for that.
Good evening. Dr. Martin Luther King, the apostle of nonviolence in the civil rights movement, has been shot to death in Memphis, Tennessee.
People have asked, well, you know, you must feel guilty about that, and I have to say no. King and I were part of a very significant movement. We were colleagues in it. We both were of the same mind here that workers organized in unions could advance themselves. I have a certain amount of confidence that I know there is a better way, and the work of a Gandhi, but also a Martin King in Western civilization, shows us, if we're prepared, that there's a better way to have a different kind of world. So I sense that I have found the better way that my mother spoke of. Well, I've been an admirer of the Community Coalition from the time it was organized under the leadership of Karen Bass. And as I've watched the coalition and see where you are today, it gives me a sense of gratitude and thanksgiving that I'm receiving this accommodation from the Community Coalition, and I will value it as a part of my experience.
Well, the Reverend Lawson is such a legendary figure that he requires 2 amazing presenters tonight. And to start us off is someone who has appeared on our home network, ABC, on Grey's Anatomy, as Dr. Jackson Avery. He's also appeared in several movie roles, most recently in the hit film The Butler, where he portrayed the role of tonight's honoree. So please welcome actor Jesse Williams.
Good evening, everyone. How you doing? Thank you for being here. I want to thank Community Coalition first and foremost for their relentless pursuit of justice and progress. It really is a huge deal. This is an amazing room. Thank you. Thank you. I'm really honored to also, I should say, be able to have made the acquaintance of a lot of the staff at Community Coalition recently since we've moved out here to LA with some of the work that we're doing with a program called Question Bridge and Community Coalition and Callan Down Brotherhood Crusade. So it's been a really wonderful welcome to the city of Los Angeles. I wanted to start, before introducing the incredible Reverend James Lawson, by saying a few words about language and wordplay and some of the things that have been talked about here tonight, starting with willful defiance. I think it's the language choice there is really part of a long tradition of slickly worded, oppressive and aggressive tactics against black and brown communities. It's this co-opting of an otherwise reasonable sounding term, willful defiance. And we see what happens sometimes when legislative power is granted to prejudice with catchy slogans and titles. Willful defiance, it kind of sounds like what this country's all about, how this country was founded. Willfully defying the British. Reminds me of the George W. Bush, like Orwellian wordplay entitling his policies, right? The Healthy Forests Act, which actually destroys our wilderness, and the Clear Skies Act, which is designed by the oil and gas lobby. This coded language and willful defiance, it really paints an incomplete picture in a misleading tone. I mean, defiance is not an action, it is a reaction. In the case of our young people, who are without question the most harshly affected by these push-out policies, black and brown students, their defiance is a reaction to a great number of slippery and subversive factors. Many students come to school with a complex set of emotional issues stemming from their violent or domestic environments, trauma, poverty, violence, flashy media engine that spends 24 hours a day blaring narrow illustrations of who they are, who they can be, who they are not. And we notice that when privileged communities are inconvenienced, new legislation is enacted. It calms their cries. Yet when we are in pain, we need to suddenly pick ourselves up by our bootstraps. Shut up, sit down, and return to page 117 in your government-issued white supremacy history book, textbook. Suspending children makes it more likely that they end up in the juvenile justice system. That's a fact. Makes it twice as likely that they're going to drop out. High school dropouts are 3.5 times more likely to be arrested than graduates, and more than 8 times as likely to be in jail or prison. It also costs California about $1 billion a year in just juvenile crime costs alone. Willful defiance is a civil rights issue, period. The disproportionate number of African American students that are suspended under that banner isn't about behavior at all. There are no studies that show black and brown students as more disruptive, more aggressive, or violent. No such thing. Yet all studies on that subject have us being pushed the hell out disproportionately. We are sent home where we're often left unsupervised, which was spoken about today, which I can relate to, by our working families. That's not better for the student. Nobody's arguing that's better for the family. It's not better for our learning environment to feel that you were so easily discarded. And it's definitely not lowering our taxes or making anybody safer. Pushing them out pushes them in to something else. Sooner our kids begin accumulating a criminal record with charges that other communities simply don't face. I've lived in both. We don't face charges for truancy or fighting or trespassing and start getting a record for having a little weed on you. The sooner they are on a road to harsher sentencing. That's how that train gets moving. That gets you that unlimited bus pass to and from the correctional facility. Ownership, confinement, free labor, we used to call it something else a couple hundred years ago. The new Jim Crow extends to the classroom. I grew up in a school with 45 kids in my class, split grade levels, 2nd and 3rd grade, sharing the same room, the same teacher at the same time, 2 grades, same in 4th and 5th. Didn't feel like much change from a schoolhouse in 1910 to 80s crack era Chicago. That's a lot to manage for a teacher, by the way. For a teacher who's no doubt underpaid, no doubt has improper resources. Being a teacher is very difficult. Leading a classroom consistently, creatively, through disruptions. Disruptions are real, and that's difficult. Reverend James Lawson is a teacher. I was an inner city high school public high school teacher. I had students with loaded weapons in my class. Our school had our own daycare center because 40% of the girls had or were having children. We had security guards, several kids in every class that couldn't speak English and weren't getting any ESL help. Being a teacher is difficult. It is trying work, especially when your students have PTSD, untreated. The more untreated baggage, often than many adults can even imagine. Such difficulty is an opportunity. It's an opportunity for leadership and for facilitation. You can't know where you're going without knowing where you've been and what it takes to get you there. And we can't be out of touch with our reality, nor can we be led by those who are sitting at a great distance. Reverend James Lawson is a teacher. He has been, is, and always will be the personification of that much-needed leadership and example. As it happens, Reverend James Lawson has spent his entire life demonstrating the only kind of willful defiance I want to be any part of, the only kind that has any record of success. And he does so in a language that connects all generations and backgrounds by presenting clear-minded assessments of our situation and identifying the problem areas, clear reasoning for why it is upon us to initiate change, and clear strategies to employ that change. Truly a giant among men, beyond theory, but in practice. It has been my honor not only to portray him in the film The Butler, but more importantly, to be his student in the process. I've learned far more than I can imagine. So I know we have one more speaker before he comes up, but please join me by standing on our tired feet to acknowledge someone who has never stopped walking with us on his, the incomparable Reverend James Lawson. You don't have to stand up, Reverend Lawson. Thank you, guys. Thanks for being here.
Making sure that working men and women have a powerful voice in the city of Los Angeles is the Los Angeles County Federation of Labor, led by the incredible and inspiring Maria Elena Durazo, the Executive Secretary Treasurer. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome one of Community Coalition's great partners for economic and social justice, Maria Elena Durazo.
Good evening, sisters and brothers. Buenas tardes. And I first want to congratulate Community Coalition on so many years of working on all the issues that our community cares about, going way back with my sister Karen Bass, and those early days of what it took to create something that was not there is truly something that all of us and our young people should aspire to do, create something where there's nothing there. So I thank my sister Karen, my brother Marquise for all your hard work and all of the leadership, and thank all of you who were here to support the work. I mean, those young men were pretty amazing, really, really great, great. So I just want to throw in my 2 cents to honor the work of Reverend James Lawson. About 25 years ago, it's probably been, there were hundreds of Hyatt hotel workers who had gathered at the Methodist Church in downtown Los Angeles. They were in their 3rd year of fighting to win a new union contract, and I had just been elected president of the union. We had tried everything, inside actions, delegations to management, picket lines inside the hotel, picket lines outside the hotel, 1-day strikes, 1-week strikes, finally a boycott. We didn't know what else to do. And to sustain a struggle for day in and day out, year after year, had really taken its toll on the workers. And we were at the point where many were just gonna give up. It was extremely difficult fight. We were at the church, came time for the program, and Reverend James Lawson and Cesar Chavez came into the room. And the 2 of them together spoke about the moments in the struggles that they had been through, when the struggle seemed all but lost. But people had dug in deep, and they kept on going. This was a turning point in the struggle for those hundreds of hotel workers. They regained the belief in themselves, their faith was renewed, and they went on to win that fight. A couple of years later, a large group of Latino immigrant hotel workers, many Latina housekeepers, were gathered in our union hall. They were nervous, they were anxious, but they were determined. They had been told that they all were going to be fired from the hotel because the owners decided to change management. So it didn't matter if you had been there 10, 15, 25, or 40 years, you were all given literally a pink slip. The workers had decided they would not let that happen, that those jobs belonged to them. They started to take actions. And on this particular day, they were gathered to be trained to get arrested in the street, in front of the hotel. And our teacher that evening was Reverend James Lawson. In English, he communicated to them the power of nonviolent civil disobedience. He spoke about plantation capitalism. He spoke about human dignity. He spoke about nonviolence as a tool used by ordinary men and women throughout history to make change. And they understood every word. They sighed with relief, confidence, and strength, and went on to get arrested and to win their fight. They kept their jobs at that hotel. Sisters and brothers, whether it was in the 60s, getting expelled from Vanderbilt for training young people to lead the successful sit-ins to end segregated lunch counters, standing with other leaders of faith against the U.S. military intervention in Central America and El Salvador, for peace in Iraq, or on the side of the LGBT community, teaching Latina immigrant housekeepers, or encouraging our new generation of dreamers. Reverend James Lawson is the leading, not only theoretician, but practitioner of nonviolence for social justice in our nation, and he has been doing it for over 60 years. For the labor movement, whether it was when he led the strategy group to help the sanitation workers win their fight to be represented by AFSCME, whether it was his other many times that he's led and taught us, I'm personally blessed to have had him by my side on many occasions, sometimes week after week, just gathering at the church and talking through a few things, trying to connect the dots, which is what he always taught me. Reverend Lawson, in honor of your work for our labor movement, for our nation, and in honor of Dr. Martin Luther King, I'm announcing and asking everyone here to join me and 99 others in a civil disobedience action in front of the Walmart in Chinatown on November 7th. And that, sisters and brothers, is the way to truly honor Reverend James Lawson. Please welcome Reverend James Lawson for an extraordinary lifetime of giving and teaching and standing up for the rights of all men and women.
Well, I have no idea how to follow this rather remarkable program this evening. The energy and the enthusiasm, the young men, the chants, and all that represents about the powerful work that the coalition continues to do in this city of LA. I just want to express my appreciation to the board of directors and to Marquise and to the wonderful staff that I've met off and on in different places, and say to them how grateful I am to all of you for this evening's activity and for this award from the Community Coalition. I have met some of the young men and women here on the stage this evening in many places of our country over the last year, 2 years, or 3 years, in different sorts of settings and places, camps, classrooms, and the rest. They represent a remarkable generation of youth young life, and I am almost every day greatly grieved that we have power structures, economic and political and social in our country, that thinks the best has been in the past and therefore it needs not lay the foundation for young life today. I want to say simply that nonviolent struggle and action is desperately needed in the United States as never before. That what we hear over the news, the Tea Party and the Koch brothers providing $200 million to defeat the Affordable Health Care Act, the severe attacks, these things will get worse, sisters and brothers. They will not get better until you and I see the necessity of not only backing the work of freedom schools, the work of going to the LAUSD and saying to them there must be a Bill of Rights for all the students. It must not only include the end of willful defiance, zero tolerance, discipline rules, but it must also include making their education and their welfare for this generation and every succeeding generation the priority of all of public life, all budgets, all city governments, all state governments, all national governments, all Congresses and governors and legislatures. The human race has come over 1 million to 2 million years in our long journey. We have not come to this place because of neglecting the intellectual life, the emotional life, the social life of the human family. At a time when, in fact, we've gained the power to commit suicide, a part of the way forward is to see to it that every boy and every girl, from the cradle through elementary school, through kindergarten, elementary, high school, college, professional training of all kinds, is met with the financial resources and the human resources that will allow them to help move the human family beyond where we are to where it yet can be, because the best is, as far as I'm concerned, yet to be. We can have more justice for our nation. We can de-escalate the violence in our land, and our mythology of violence is perhaps the worst anywhere in the world. Our mythology of violence as a culture. We can end that, but it will take the continuous work of the Community Coalition and 100 movements and organizations like this all across the country to make the changes we need. The power structures will not yield to simply ordinary lobbying. The elections will always have less integrity on behalf of the people than what the elections will pretend to have without our learning the power of the people, the power of these young men up here, recovering their lives and their powers. And the Community Coalition has done an excellent piece of work of helping parents as well as young people to recover the God-given, creation-given power that is in each one of us. If we cultivate that power, which I continue to insist is nonviolent power, we will be surprised at what we can still accomplish. Activism in the United States today needs the strategies, the tactics, the theories, the philosophies of nonviolence as never before. It is beginning to happen. It is going to happen. And I invite all who are here this evening to make the commitment that whether or not, whatever we can contribute a whisper, we can contribute a support. But in the 21st century, we're going to see in an America that emerges again, looking to the well-being of every person in this room and every person in our 50 states and their children. I heard Sunday Michelle Alexander of the Jim Crow book, A New Jim Crow, say that America must have a mass movement that works on jobs, quality education, shelter, the eradication of illiteracy, the eradication of hunger. That's what this is about. And I see the way in which you have contributed to my own life through this significant award, which I value. It says to me that the movements that are coming in this nation will overcome, and I expect to be a part of them.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for your generous support tonight. This concludes our program for the evening. Please claim your silent auction prizes at the registration table before you leave. And to close out tonight, I give you 29 Live. Good night, everyone. See you next year.